Swami said, just listen. Because I was a child, he said, shh, just listen. And he just leaned my head against his chest. And in his chest, I could hear the whole Prasanthi Nilayam bhajan that had started there. Swami blessed my mother, told her that she would have a girl, and he said, I will name her Geetha. The same picture that you can see in my background, I put the rose there. Enjoy the rose, I told him. My mother was in Vrindavan for the afternoon darshan in Bangalore. So Swami said, yes. Today she told me to enjoy the rose that I have myself created. Form and the message is not different. They are one and the same. If you want to see the form, you must follow the message. If you follow the message, you will see the form. Mukam karoti vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yatkrupa Tamaham Vande Paramananda Madhavam. So happy to be with all of you. I have been there once before at Dharmakshetra on Krishna Janmashtami Day some years ago. And I had spoken to all of you. Thank you for inviting me. I thank all of the Samarpan brothers here from Swami's college. Very, very blessed by Swami to have studied in his institution. To have invited me to come across the globe from Maryland, USA to Mumbai, India. It is so wonderful. Swami says technology is tricknology. He says it tricks us into many, many different things. But this is one time that the technology is being used for such good purposes, where everybody can immerse themselves wherever they are, sitting in their own homes, and welcome Swami into their own homes through these Namasmarana sessions. So I thank all of you for having invited me here. I hope this is a time that is usefully spent for both of us, for all of us, in thinking about Swami and his beautiful glories and the sweetness of his avatar that we were all very, very fortunate to see and have had the fortunate to walk at this time when he too decided to come down and spend his time with us. So Sai Ram to all of you again. My association with Swami, fortunately this is the one time that I don't complain about my age. I was very happy to be born when I was born, because those were the days when there were not so many people surrounding Swami in the 50s. And I was very fortunate to be able to really spend time in a way that was wonderful. Not only having experienced him as my own mother, father, and a guru, and even as a friend, but in that process, having seen him, the topic that we had come up with was lessons at his feet. And I very specifically said just lessons at his feet, not lessons learned at his feet, because I am still learning. And it is very difficult to put into practice the beautiful things that Swami says, as easy as it sounds. I'm sure we are all in the same boat, traveling together as fellow aspirants, let us say, to reach his feet, to become nearer and dearer to him. So while we are on this journey, some of us have started a little early, some of us a little late, but we are all on the same journey, which is wonderful. It is like the first bogie of the train to the last one. One enters a little earlier than. So I was fortunate enough to probably be on the third or the fourth bogie of the train, because my cousins and my grandfather came to him. So they were in the front. This is one place where I say that I'm envious that I was not born in 1940 instead of the 50, because they had taken the journey already. So I started my journey. Swami always called me a little bit of a troublesome creature. My journey started by giving Swami a little bit of trouble. My mother narrates the story of how when she was expecting me, she had wanted to go to Parthi to have Swami's darshan before she actually delivered the child. And she was in the last trimester of her pregnancy. And in those days, the journey to Parthi, as all of you know through books and various even discourses of Swami, it was not an easy trip from Bangalore to Parthi. I'm from Bangalore. So even though it is only a 100-mile journey, it used to take almost 7 or 8 hours. I mean, the car journey was, of course, it used to take about 10 hours. In the older days, when they used to take the bullock carts, it used to take actually as much time as it takes me now to come from Washington, D.C. to Bangalore. So those were the journeys that were tough. And when my mother was expecting me, my father had a small little standard Super 10 car, which would drive slowly. So after a lot of discussion and lot of negativity also from others saying, no, this is too late in the day to go to Parthi, because you're expecting a child, and if something happens on the way, there were no hospitals or anything to help. But my mother insisted, and my father and my brother, who was a little bit older than me, the three of them decided to make this trip to Parthi. And Swami, with his infinite grace, blessed my mother, told her that she would have a girl and bring her back to me when she is born, and I will give her her name. My mother, of course, was a very ardent devotee of Krishna since her childhood. So I remember all my childhood, in fact, where she would read all the 18 chapters of the Bhagavad Gita on Janmashtami Day without even drinking water or eating anything. And then only when that Parayanam was completed, she would then partake. She and my grandmother, my maternal grandmother. So anyway, so Swami said, when the girl is born, you bring her over and I will think. So he blessed them. And then my father was quite a well-known and a popular dental surgeon in Bangalore, very, very busy with his practice. And he always wanted to go on a Saturday and return on a Sunday, because Monday morning he would have some patients. And invariably, many times when we went to Parthi, Swami would always say, don't go now, don't go now, don't go now, which is very different from the later days when he would say in the discourse, my blessings are there, all of you can go home, when the crowds increase. But when we were young and we used to go, Swami would always say, stay for a few more days, stay one more day, stay one more day. So it was a very sweet relationship. He never wanted us to leave. So it was the same thing, but that particular day, he told my father, don't go today, because it had started to drizzle a little bit. And he said, don't go today because it is raining. We all have always this difficulty in completely surrendering to the Lord's word. Swami has always assured us, I am always with you. Intane, gentane, ventane, kantane, yappudu untunnanu. I am always with you, behind you, besides you, with you, within you, everywhere around you. But even though we listen to it many times, our doubting Thomas minds doesn't completely have the faith and the ability to surrender at that level. And it is a slow process. It doesn't happen overnight because we attended 2 bhajans or 3 SSC classes. It is something we have to practice throughout our life. So my father too, who had been a devotee since he was, before he got married at the age of 21, now this was his second child, when Swami said, don't go today, you go tomorrow, this was a Sunday, my father decided that no, because if you leave tomorrow, even early in the morning, I have all my patients waiting for me, I cannot make them late. My father was a very duty conscious person. So he felt that he could not kind of back off on the patients. So he insisted that they would leave. Now my grand uncle, this is my father's uncle, my own grandfather's elder brother, Mr. Sheshigiri Rao, who lived in Prasanthi Nilayam. He had a vision of Lord Shiva, stayed back in Puttaparthi in 1944 and continued to serve Swami till in the mid-60s till he passed away. Swami had made him the first priest of Prasanthi Nilayam. His name is Sheshigiri Rao, is my dad's uncle. So my dad's uncle and his cousin sister who lived in Puttaparthi said, don't go, Swami is telling you not to go, don't go today. But my father insisted with my mother that he had to get back to his work. And also they did not want to stay too long in Parthi where there were no other medical facilities or anything. So they decided after the afternoon darshan, which was again a no-no. In those days, Swami would always insist that we leave after morning darshan because the journey took so long. He didn't want us to leave at night time. And along with my father's good friend, who was not a devotee, had also accompanied them because he didn't want my father to go alone with just my mother in this condition. So all of them left Parthi. Those of the older devotees who have gone to Puttaparthi in the old days would have gone to Penakonda and taken a bus and other things and reached Puttaparthi, would have read it in Satyam Shivam Sundaram. So the journey in those days, if you leave Puttaparthi, you had to go to Bukkapatnam, Kottacharavu, Penakonda, and then you continued the journey. So my father left. Somewhere around that Kottacharavu, Bukkapatnam area, there is a dam, water dam that is built, so that the water in the surrounding villages are taken for irrigation and other purpose there. Now, this was a very rough road and a very, a road, basically it was not a road, it was a bullock cart pathway. So, what happened was, it was late in the evening, after the evening darshan, my father left, even though at the insistence of everybody saying no. And as they went towards Bukkapatnam and Kottacharavu and made that, there was a very sharp right turn. It was very dark in the night. It was pouring cats and dogs. It was raining very heavily. Even the non-devotee friend was saying, "Are you sure, Dr. Padmanabhan, you want to go now? Let us go back to Parthi." This not looking. They couldn't see anything. There were no street lights or anything. You know, we are talking about the 50s old village, rural areas where there is no facility. So he made that sharp turn, and you had to turn and continue in a particular direction so as to avoid that dam. There were no fencing and all that. If you drove straight, you will land in the water. You had to make that sharp turn. So in the dark and in that rain, my father could not make out, because it was not a road, like I said, it was a bullock cart path. He couldn't see the turning, and he started to drive. And as he drove, he was almost in that Kottacharavu, that dam, a reservoir, I should say, not a dam, a reservoir where the water was kept. The car started to angle almost, and suddenly there was a lamp in front of, you know, like a kerosene lamps that we have, the lanterns. Somebody was holding, they could see in the dark, somebody was holding the lantern and in Telugu saying, "Apu bandi up, stop the car, stop the car." And the lamp was there. So my father, when he saw the lamp, he braked and he suddenly realized that he was literally an inch away from angling downwards toward the river. He got out and he looked around. The lantern had come, but they could not find any villager there. Only the voice of bandi appu, stop the car, they had heard. And when he got out of the car, both he and his friend, they found the car was angled down almost and would have rolled into the reservoir, which was full of water because of the rain. So that happened. So obviously they backed up, and then by that time, you know, everybody said, "Let's go back." They had probably come a few kilometers only from Parthi to Bukkapatnam. Now we have Google, you can see what is the distance, Kottacharavu. So they had hardly come very far, but it used to take almost 45 minutes to come that distance, or 1 hour in this car. So they drove back to Puttaparthi. But they did not have the courage that late in the night, which was about 10 o'clock in the night, to go back and wake up my grand uncle who lives there, old man, and his daughter and all that. They parked the car. Those of you who have been to Prasanthi Nilayam will know where that banyan tree and the Ganesha is there now, the big Ganesha. There was no Ganesha in those days. We all used to park the car there actually. And there used to be 8 rooms where South Prasanthi is now. So there was only 8 rooms. Mr. Kasturi's room, our room, one of the other people, only 8 rooms were built. So they came and parked the car, and my father insisted that nobody go and tell these old people that this has all happened, because he's going to get into trouble. He was a young man like you know, 31, 32 years old. He didn't want to get into all this trouble and discussion. We told you, why did you go? Swami told you, all those things that happen in every family. So he said, everybody sit in the car. At the break of dawn, as soon as the sun rises, we will leave again. So they never went, never saw the Swami again. They didn't want to show their face, or rather he didn't want to show his face. So around 5:30 in the morning, they left again and they traveled back to Bangalore and arrived, and I was born. And then 3 months later, which is normally the tradition, third month they give the name. So, or as soon as you're born, whatever the custom is. So my parents took me again. Apparently, this is of course story from my mother, which she never stopped telling till my father passed away, as a retribution for his mistake. So they brought me back to Prasanthi Nilayam, and Swami gave me the name Geetha because my mother used to read the Bhagavad Gita all the time. In fact, he gave her a little Krishna also. And he said, I will name you her Geetha, and I will give you the Gita Bodhaka, which is the Krishna. So he gave it to her and he named me, and everybody was very happy. But Swami is a very good accountant. He keeps account of every thought, every word, and every action of ours. So as everybody was very happy that the naming ceremony had happened, he then turned to my father and said, you gave me so much trouble by not listening to me that day when you brought Kamalamma here and I told you not to go. So now my father, who wanted to escape from the 3 people that he would have escaped that day, Swami, his cousin sister and his uncle, had now brought out into the open in front of everybody that my father had run away on that day without. And he said, you went there and you said, I had to come there with a lantern and tell you to stop the car. Otherwise, you would have all had a jalasamadhi. You would have all fallen into that water and drowned in that water. I had to come there. And very sweetly, Swami turned to my grand uncle who was there and said, Sheshagiri Rao, tell Padmanabh what happened. And then my grand uncle apparently was quite upset with my father. He said, do you know what happened at 9:30 in the night? Suddenly, I heard my grand uncle used to sleep outside, downstairs, outside of Swami's room. He used to sleep there. And he said, I suddenly heard some noise and I thought Swami needed some help, and I ran up to his room. And there was Swami standing in his robe, dripping with rain water or water all over, completely soaked to the bone. And I said, what happened, Swami? Why are you so wet and soaked? And he said, your nephew, he almost drove into the water, so I had to go in this rain to stop him from falling into the water. So I started my life on this earth in a very troublesome fashion. And Swami would always remind me many times in the interview room that you have taken this birth with giving me so much trouble. Try to lead your life with giving me as less trouble as possible. So that's how my journey in this household started. I was very fortunate to be born into a home who were already rooted in their devotion to Swami. And it was not very difficult for me. All of the pictures in the prayer room, there was Rama, there was Krishna, there was Shiva and all of our family deities. But there was Swami's picture, but this God came to our house on a regular basis. So this was a moving, talking, walking God who visited us. His picture was in the prayer room, just like Rama or Krishna or anything like that. But he came and stayed with us as a family. My uncle and aunts and my cousins, they had started the Akhanda Bhajan as a family function. So he used to come on a regular basis. And in the beginning, he used to stay in our aunt's house, but later on, he used to stay in my parents' home when he came for the Akhanda Bhajan. In those days, the Akhanda Bhajan used to happen from Thursday through Friday. So he used to come either on Wednesday night and stay till Saturday, or come on Thursday and leave on Friday evening, things like that. So my journey kind of started that way. I suppose this particular incident, I usually don't talk about this one. Somehow Swami wanted me to talk about it today. Maybe because many times I get the question, especially now, after Swami has left his physical form, Auntie, how do you feel? Because Swami's physical form is not here. Do you feel he responds to you? Do you feel his presence? And all of these questions, which are natural, come to the mind. For me, it is not very different. Swami being in Prasanthi Nilayam and appearing somewhere else near the Bukkapatnam Reservoir the physical form was not physically there. The physical form was in Prasanthi Nilayam. But he still came to my father. And so many of these kinds of things have happened throughout my life. For me, the physical form not being there now in Prasanthi Nilayam makes no difference. Because we are the ones who are restricted to our physical form. He is a Sarvantaryami. He is everywhere. He is like the air and the Akash that we see. He is everywhere. He is not restricted by the 5 elements of his body, the Panchabhutas of the body. So for me, that question does not. Physical form, I do miss him. I cannot deny that. I miss the sparkle in his eyes and the voice and the laughter and the jokes and even the scolding once in a while. I do miss that part of it, like we all miss the people that we love very much. But I have no doubt in my mind at all about his presence everywhere. But how do we feel this presence then becomes the question. Why is it that we don't feel the presence? And Swami very clearly says that he has given us many tools. First and foremost, of course, he gives the tool of Namasmarana. If we constantly think of him and if we constantly do things that he has asked us to do. See, Swami once told my 2 sons, I have twin sons, Arun and Varun. They have grown up and married and have children of their own now. I have 4 grandchildren. But he always used to tell them that the form and the message is not different. They are one and the same. If you want to see the form, you must follow the message. If you follow the message, you will see the form. It is asannihita sambandham, you say. It is just like 2 sides of a coin. You cannot have one side without the other. So when we start trying to practice at least one thing that he says for our own selves, and one form or the other, we will feel his presence in some way. It may not be, as Swami used to say, do you think I'm going to come with Shanku, Chakra, Gada, Chakra and all? If I come, you will put me in a circus and charge tickets to see me. So I am not going to come like that. I am going to come in a way that you will understand within your heart that I have responded to you. So one very beautiful incident that happened to me that I would like to share with all of you today, just because we talk about the physical distance, this thing. In fact, there was a little message before this. My sons, once when we were in Prasanthi Nilayam, we were visiting from the US, and Swami, with his grace, had invited us for an interview. And he had come in. And my boys were young. They were about maybe 9 or 10 years old. And Swami was very fond of them. He has named them also as Arun and Varun. And he would always pinch their cheeks and say, how are you boys doing? How are you, sir? He would say to them in English, because we lived here in the US. And they would always say, we are doing very well, thank you. They would say to him. So Swami was very fond of the fact that they would answer so formally back to him. And then he would talk to him. And then once he asked these 2 boys, what would you like from me today? And as a mother, my heart was pounding. And I was hoping that they would not say, we want a ring or a chain or something material like that, and ask for something that was really worth asking for. But they were still young, and my heart was wondering, oh my goodness, what are they going to say? And they, had grown up with all of my stories at home as well, and Swami would see them whenever we went to India. So they said, oh, but Swami, we are so far away. We want to be near you, they said. We want to be near you because we are so far away. So Swami said, where are you? So they said, we live in Washington, D.C., Maryland, Laurel, Maryland. And then Swami, and then thinking that Swami may not understand where Laurel, Maryland is, they said it is near Washington, D.C., which is the capital city of the United States of America. So Swami was very happy. Oh, I see, you know your geography and all that, he said. And he said, why do you want to be near me? So they said that, because Swami, then whatever you say, we can hear you, and whatever we want, we can also ask you questions so that we can learn from you, they said. So then Swami said, there is no such thing as far or near for the Lord. He can be everywhere around you, all the time with you, besides you, he said. And then he said, how do you spell far? So the boys immediately said F-A-R, far. We are far away, far away. So then Swami said, how do you spell near? And they said N-E-A-R. So he said, you know, the near depends on how you use that time when you are near. If you are near and if you are N, never, E, enlightened, never enlightened, A, always repeating, A-R, always repeating, never enlightened, but always repeating the same mistakes. The fact that you are near physically makes no difference. But if you are far and you try to practice the message and you try to think of me in everything that you do, then what do you know what far means? He said, Father, he said, pointing to himself, Father, always ready. F-A-R. Father, always ready to respond to you. I will come wherever you are. But you have to realize that never enlightened, always repeating will not work. If you keep making the same mistakes, doing the same things, never trying to practice the message, then it will not work, whether you are near or far. But if you are far, but you are practicing, Father is always ready. I am your father, I am your mother, and I will always respond. So this was a beautiful message he had given to my son, and we would always talk about it whenever we missed his physical form. Oh, we are missing his physical form. But why do we feel that way? He's right here. Are we doing the things right to feel him? So these were some of the questions that we would always talk about in our household. I always had a rule that the dinner time, because lunchtime we would all be working and they would be at school or college, but dinner we would always have together. However, whatever exam was there or whatever was going on. And this was the time when we would talk about these kinds of things. So this went on for some time, and I was, and you know, sometimes we listen to these words and we just take it, oh, it's a beautiful, how nicely Swami has given a quotation. Forgetting that Swami is Vedavakyam, whatever he says, that is the truth. There is never any untruth in anything that Swami says. And I had gone to Atlanta, Georgia, here in the US, for a mini retreat some years ago. This was still when Swami's physical form was there. I had gone there to give a talk. And I finished my talk. It was a mini retreat. I had some 2 talks or something I had to give. And at the end of my talk, when it was over, a lot of people were coming over to thank me and other things. And there was a couple, they were an African-American couple, and husband and wife, I think. They came over and they said something to me. I didn't know this language. It sounded like French to me. So they said, in French, they said, merci, merci. And I said, I'm sorry, I don't understand French. They both looked a little surprised. But then in English, they kept saying, thank you many times. You know, so I assumed that they were thanking me for the talk, and I said, you're welcome, and I talked to them, but they continued to say a few words in French and I couldn't understand. There was another Caucasian gentleman nearby, and he said, what's going on? And I said, you know, they're talking to me in French, I don't know the language. And he spoke to them. He said, I know a little bit of broken French, I can talk to them. And he started to talk to them, and by that time it was time for me to go to my host's house. So I said goodbye to them and I left. Then this gentleman, this Caucasian gentleman who had talked to them, came and joined for dinner in the host's house. They had invited a few people, the organizers, for dinner, since I was staying with them. And I went over there and this man came and said, hey, Geetha, you know, I had a funny experience. You remember those 2 people who came and said thank you to you in French? And I said, yes. He said, I had a funny experience just now, he said. I said, oh, really? What happened? So he said, you know, they said, you know, it's very strange. We told her, talked to her and said her talk was very well, but she said she cannot speak in French, which is very strange. So this man said, the white gentleman said, well, she doesn't understand French, you know, that's why she was saying that. So they said, how is that possible? She just gave an hour and a half talks, 2 talks which she spoke in French. So he said, she didn't speak in French, she spoke in English because nobody in the audience knows French. They said, no, she spoke in French. And we understood everything. And they in fact started to even narrate the incidents that I had said in my talk. How is she saying that? So this gentleman just shrugged his shoulders and he said, I don't know. Where are you people from? So they said, we are from Congo. And we have just moved to the United States and we are in a lot of trouble. We don't have a job, or we are still settling down. We used to belong to a Sai center in Congo where all our activities were done in French. And we moved here and we tried to find out the Sai center here, but everything is in English and we couldn't really understand. So we stopped going, but we are in quite a bit of difficulty. And at home, we are praying to Swami every day, please help us, Swami. And, show us a center with whom we can communicate a little bit, because we don't know English. And just a few days ago, some lady from Cincinnati called us, a friend of ours, and said, oh, there is a lady speaking in Atlanta. Why don't you go for her talk? And we said, no, there's no point going because we won't understand anything. And the lady said, well, you like the bhajans. So there'll be bhajans. At least listen to the bhajans. It will make you feel better because you're in so much difficulties. So we decided to come thinking we will leave during the talk because we won't understand, but we listen to the bhajans. But we came and sat down and the lady started to speak in French. So we continued to stay. This is the story they told this Caucasian gentleman. And he came to my host's house and we were about 20-25 of us and we all just started to laugh. And they all teased me and I said, well, this is all Greek and Latin to me, And we just joked and really didn't take it very seriously because it sounded a little odd, this whole thing. Because again and again, we forget that we are the ones giving a form to Swami. We forget that. So I too forgot. I mean, this is after years and years and years of Swami's experience. We just smiled and talked about it for a few minutes. Then dinner was served. So this was in the month of September. In June, I came to Parthi. I was a school teacher here. So usually June is our holiday months. And I always used to come to Parthi in June for the summer holidays. And Swami called me for an interview along with a few others and my children and my husband. And we all sat down. And Swami introduced all of us to each other. And she said, she's in the US, she gives talks, and Swami told them. And then he said, nowadays, she's giving talks even in French, Swami said. So I was a little taken aback. I said, Swami, because it obviously, I had even forgotten about a little bit vaguely this incident. So I said, yes, you're giving talks in French. And you had gone to UK, you went to Bath. There were 2 sisters from Russia there. You gave in Russian as well. I said, what is this, Swami? I don't know any of these languages, Swami. They said that they heard it in French. So then Swami gave the most profound message. He said, your job is to talk. Whatever they are supposed to hear, they will hear. They wanted to hear in French. They had bhakti in their heart. They had yearning for me. And my message came alive to them. So the important thing to remember is, first and foremost, Swami has no restrictions. Second thing to remember, that he is the resident of every heart. And he connects. That's why Swami says, the relationship between you and me is heart to heart. He says, it is not through a third party, through a 4th person, 5th person. Somebody told me this, somebody told me that. No, my connection is directly with you. You just have to delve deep into your own heart to feel me there. That is why Swami, in hundreds of discourses, he has said that Draupadi, when she called out all the names, Mathura Nimasi, Dwaraka Nimasi, God had to run from place to place to fulfill her wishes. Till she said Hridaya Nivasi. When he said that, I was right there. I was able to help her very quickly. So it is for us to start looking inward a little bit rather than look for him on the outside. And when we start to practice that, even if it is not on every second of the day, the moment that we connect to him, we feel that connection. But Swami once to me, I said, Swami, but only few times, 1 second here, 1 minute there, I feel you when I'm there. How to feel that every second of the day, you know? So Swami said that 1 second that you feel, you must learn to elongate it. What did you do at that time? You connected thought, word, and action. All three were aligned. When they were aligned, you connected to me. So he says, you know, manasanyat, karma manyat. He says, when all these things are different, you won't connect to me. When the thought is somewhere, your actions are doing prayers, but your thought is thinking, okay, my goodness, it's getting late. Today, when I was doing my prayer, I'm sure Swami would not have heard anything because my eyes were on the clock thinking I must not dial in late. So here I am saying the Ashtotra, but my mind is on www. That is why Swami says World Wide Web, right? Once, very nicely, when we were in the interview room, my children were getting that first computer. We had told them when we come back to the US, they were young fellows and the computers were new, internet was new at that time. So we said, we will get you a computer. And when Swami said, what are you boys doing? How are you? They said, Swami, we are going to get a new computer. So Swami said, oh, what are you going to do with the computer? So my son said, Swami, we are going to connect to the internet. What is internet? Swami said. So my sons immediately, they said, Swami, if you type www.com, you can connect to websites. Oh, www, what does it mean? So they said World Wide Web. So Swami very sweetly said to them in Telugu, World Wide Web. This world is a web. And like a spider, you get caught in that web. With all the desires, with all the attachments, with all the external things that you get attached to. It's a worldwide net, worldwide web. And you are the spider all the time waiting. Even if a leaf falls on the web, it gets stuck. So everything you get stuck in this world. But if you convert it to work, worship, and wisdom, www. If you do your work sincerely with devotion and you convert every work that you do into a worship, and that will become jnana or wisdom, then you will be free from this www web. So he had told them that. And so we came. So what happened in these minutes of elongating our connection to him? If we make this web, which is filled with thoughts of him, which is filled with work, every work is converted into worship, then this web also will become a very sanctified thing. So one of the moments that I remember where I connected for one instant, maybe, with Swami, a couple of times that has happened. Most of the time, like I said, the eyes are on the clock or eyes somewhere else. But once or twice, due to some amount of practice, when you connect, then you feel his presence. But in my case, I don't know if I felt his presence. We had bought this house many, many years ago. We've lived in this house now for 28 years. And Swami had told us to buy this particular house. It was not yet built. We had looked at it and he had told my father, it's a very good place. Let her buy that house. So the house was built later. Here, usually, as many of you are aware, the developers build the houses and we can buy it. So we bought this house. And the first thing that I wanted to do when we bought this house was to plant a rose plant. And because I always used to take roses for Swami. And I planted a rose plant. And one day I was just backing up my car to go to work. I was teaching at that time. And backing up my car to go, and I saw that the first rose had bloomed in that new plant. That was the plant that we had. So it was a Thursday morning. So I had finished my prayers. I was leaving for work. It was about 7:45 in the morning. And I saw the rose and I said, oh, I should put this on Swami's picture, the first rose from this one. Then I thought, this is how the monkey mind goes. I said, no, it's time to go now. Anyway, I finished my prayers. I can put it in the evening when I do bhajan. Then I thought, no, this poor rose must be feeling I want to reach Swami's feet as quickly as possible. So then I got out of the car, took the rose, took off my shoes, had to come up to the puja, did all that. And when I put this, the same picture that you can see in my background, I put the rose there. And I said, okay, Swami, I got the rose and I put it on you. Enjoy the rose, I told him. I have the habit of, I said, enjoy the rose, your own creation. And I put the rose and I came back and went to work. Now, this was in the morning. My mother was in Vrindavan for the afternoon darshan in Bangalore. And Swami came out for darshan and he came and asked my mother, how is Geetha Ma? How is she doing? So my mother said, with your grace, Swami, she is doing well and she's okay. So Swami said, yes, yes. Today she told me to enjoy the rose that I have myself created. So that was such a tremendous sense of awe, as I say, because that one moment that I had seen the rose, that I felt that it was worthy of offering to him, and the sense of love that I felt when I gave it to him, because there were millions of times I have given him roses in Bangalore with all those memories in my heart. I offered it to him in a very simple fashion. Here, Swami, here is your own rose. I don't have anything to do. There is a very famous Kannada poet, musician called Purandaradasa from Karnataka. He says, "Kereya neeranu kerege challi varava padidavaru." He says, we take the water from the river that you have created, O Lord. That water we bring it, and that water we use for your own abhishekam, and then we say, give me a boon. None of these things are mine. The water is yours, the flowers are yours, whatever material, the fruits that we are offering, all have been created to you. We are just bringing it to you, offering your own creation to you, and then saying, give me a boon, I have done your puja, I have done your prayers. That is what Purandaradasa says. So like that, I told him, Swami, this is your own creation, enjoy it. You should feel proud of it. But even though I was talking, my mind and my heart and my hands in that action were connected to him for that split second. And that moment reached him, which is what he told me much later. In the same way, one other funny incident that happened to me where Swami consistently shows that he's always with us. Whenever I finished cooking, I would put everything into small little bowls and offer it first to Swami before dinner. I was used to do it. That was a habit that I had. But as the years went by, I became a mother of twins. Life became difficult with work and work at home and taking care of everything. Slowly, sometimes, we start trying to find loopholes in our own practices. We don't want to put the effort. We'll say, oh, see what it is called as Anukula Vairagya in Kannada. What is Anukul? It is easy for you. So then you will practice detachment when it is easy for you. So that is called Anukula Vairagya. So I said, what is there? Swami is everywhere. Why should I put all this food in the puja room? Right here in the kitchen only I can say, Swami, take it. Why should I take it to the puja room? The effort of putting in the bowls, taking it upstairs, then offering it to him, doing aarti, then bringing it down, then more dishes. Because in the US now, I think all of you people in India are getting used to doing your own work. Here we are used to doing our own work in the US. There now you don't have apparently people to come and help you, assistants at home to cook and clean the house. So here that means one more work, you have to clean the plate. So slowly over the years, I stopped offering to Swami. I used to offer it, of course, because we are saying Brahmarpanam and all those things anyway. So one particular day, what I used to do is every time I finished cooking in the kitchen and all the food would be on the stove, as soon as the cooking was over, I used to say, Swami, all the cooking is over. I offer this food to you. And then I'll call Mohan Ram, Varun, everybody come for dinner. So this was started my way of offering, because I have a small picture of Swami in the kitchen. So I say, Swami, cooking is over, food is ready, have some food, and call the family. Because it's late in the evening, we all want to have dinner. So I started to do like that. Then, even to make it easier on myself, Anukula Vairagyam, like I said, Swami had told a story when we were children. Our Balvikas was conducted by Swami only. So he used to tell us one story. And this story I will tell quickly. Once Krishna and Arjuna apparently were going for a walk. Many of you may have heard it in his discourse, but it's worth repeating it. They were going for a walk. And Arjuna was feeling quite proud that he was one of the greatest devotees of the Lord. And he was going with him as a friend for a walk in this beautiful palatial garden. And he felt very proud that every day he spent 3 hours worshipping the Lord and then spending time with Lord Krishna. And as they were walking, suddenly, this was in Krishna's palatial garden, they saw that cartloads of already worshipped flowers, what we call as nirmalyam, flowers that we have worshipped and we remove it. So they saw cartloads of this coming out of Krishna's palace. Arjuna and Krishna both saw. Then Arjuna said, what is this? So much of flowers and fruits are all coming out of your palace. So Krishna very casually said, oh, that is just one of my devotees, every day he worships me with all these flowers and fruits. That is now being now disposed of. The fruits are going to be. So Arjuna was very curious. Who is this devotee? Because he thinks he is the greatest devotee. But it's coming out of Krishna's palace. Who is this? So then Krishna says, oh, it's none other. You know him. He's your own brother Bhima. It is his worship. So Arjuna said, what? Bhima spends majority of the time in either eating or sleeping. When does he have time to worship you with so many flowers and fruit? It cannot be my brother Bhima. So Krishna said, no, it is your brother Bhima. Every day with so much bhakti he is offering me. So what is he offering? So Bhima, so Krishna says, tomorrow morning you come. We will follow that Bhima and find out when he is doing all this worship. So Arjuna was extremely curious. So he joins Krishna and they start following Bhima throughout the day. And they find that Bhima gets up in the morning, does his morning routine, gets up, does one namaskaram, prayer, pranams in the picture. He's eating breakfast, then they see him eating lunch, then they see, when is he doing? Then they see, but he's very, very disciplined about going for a walk in the morning and evening and doing his exercise and all. So he used to go to his Vyayamashala, Swami says, where his gymnasium was there. He used to go there, and on the way to the gym, there is lots of trees and flowers and fruit trees and flower trees. So as he passed these fruit trees and flower trees, he would look at it and say, aha, Krishna, how beautifully you have created these flowers and trees. Krishnarpanamastu. I offer this tree to you. And then he will look at fruits and he'll say, oh Krishna, such beautiful oranges. I offer this Krishnarpanamastu, Krishnarpanamastu. So every tree and every fruit that he sees on the way to the gym, he is offering to that Lord Krishna. And that is all coming and landing at the feet of Lord Krishna, which is coming out as cartloads from his. So Arjuna sees this and he says, what is this Krishna? He says he is not sitting in a particular place or anything. Everything that he sees, he says, Krishna Arpanamastu. Whatever he does, he offers to me. So that is falling at my feet. That is why all the flowers and fruits are coming into my palace because of his bhakti. So I had heard this story as a child. So now in this particular occasion of Naivedya, my house of offering to Swami, I started to translate it as though I am Bhima and I have that much bhakti. I said, Bhima did it. So whenever I say, Swami, this food is yours. Please enjoy. Mohan Ram, Arun and Varun come for dinner. This is what is known as Anukula Vairagyam. To give an explanation. Not that I didn't have the time. Not that I did not need the discipline. But it was just something that I made myself easy. So the attitude is important. Are we doing it to make it easy upon ourselves? Or are we really doing it with that much of thought, word and action? So Swami wanted to teach me this lesson. So one day I offered as usual, Swami, everything is ready, please have, everybody come have dinner, finished. Instead of. So if I really had the same kind of thing as Bhima, then it is okay. But this was done more for my convenience. But Swami wanted to teach me because he's a loving mother. He has to teach us our lessons. He asked my mother in Vrindavan again. This was the second after some time. And he said, how is Geetha? And she said, she's doing okay. Okay, Swami. Yes, every day she is offering me food. Today in the sambar, no salt. He told my mother. And sure enough, that night when we had dinner, that sambar did not contain salt. I had to add salt. But Swami told my mother, yes, every time she is offering me the food, but today There was no salt in her sambar. So, how we do that action with the intention of Swami truly with us, that is what is very, very important. We cannot just take one message of his to turn it into convenience for us. It has to be practiced in the spirit that Swami has given us that message. Swami very beautifully, when we were children, used to sing one beautiful song. I'm not a very good singer, and especially you Samarpan boys and college students are so fabulous with your singing. But this song has stayed in my memory because when we were children, in later years, I think Swami once or twice has also sung in his discourses. But later on, he started to sing the shorter bhajans. But when we were children, Swami used to sing this bhajan, or some of the elders, he used to ask them to sing this bhajan. It's a long bhajan. I don't know. Long meaning is not very long, but it has got several in the same tune. I don't know if many of you have heard. I'll try to say it in a few lines. It is Sai Sai Sayanare Sarvamu Brahmamu Mayamanare Baba 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 Anare Bhakti Mahimalo Palgunare Rama Rama Ramanare Rakshasa Gunamulu Pommanare Krishna 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 Anare Kashtamulanu Pogottu Hare Shiva 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 Shivayanare Shiva Keshavulu Samamanare Hari 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 Anare Atma Ramuni Mayamanare. So you can imagine all the lines are in the same tune, not like we sing nowadays with alap and slokams and all sorts of instruments and all sorts of nuances which are very beautiful. But Swami used to sing, and this bhajan is so long. Imagine Sai 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 and one speed and Rama Rama. So when he used to start this bhajan when we were children, we used to think, oh my God, this is going to go on for 15 minutes. Just like sometimes we sing Sai Bhajan Abhina or Manasa Bhajare, Kuchanda Akanda Bhajan, you know, and say midnight one person will sing, early morning one person will sing, because they are not here for the whole Akanda Bhajan. So they don't know who has sung what. So they will go on singing. So this was one of such songs, and when we were children, oh my God, this Sai 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 and they started, man, this will never end today. Either then, when we were children, you know, in Prasanthi Nilayam, we were all sitting there. But we learnt it, and wherever Swami went, sometimes he would make us children also sing this bhajan, sing Sai Sai Sai. We can sing so many beautiful bhajans. We are so good at doing all the nuances and everything. Why doesn't he ask us to show off some other bhajan? No? Because bhajans then become show off also. We can sing so many complicated bhajans. Why he asked this such a simple Sai 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 Rama Rama Rama. I'll tell the meaning in a minute. So like this. Because some people may be thinking, what is this bhajan? We don't know what it means. It's in Telugu. I'm just giving the background. So this. Then many years went by, and finally this bhajan also disappeared from the bhajan centers, because many people may have felt like me. And Swami also must have heard everybody's prayers, and he also stopped singing. He used to sing after discourse. So he used to sing Bada Chitta Chora and all those. Anyway, so this went on. Once I came from USA to Puttaparthi, and my husband and I were there, and Swami was very, very kind to us. He called us again for the interview, and in that interview there were some Telugu people, there were some North Indians, there were some people from Canada, a lot of people were there. And Swami started to explain how just doing, and I think some of them were good bhajan singers also. So they were asking some questions about bhajans to Swami in the interview. So he said that bhajan is a sadhana. It is a namasmarana sadhana. Through that, the person who sings and the person who listens both can get connected at a higher consciousness to connect with the Lord. So the person who sings has a huge responsibility on his shoulders. Therefore, he cannot just go and sing whatever he wants. He needs to practice. In your own house, you can do whatever you want, because it is only between you and Swami. Swami is a forgiver, you know, he forgives all our mistakes. But when we are singing in a group, we have a certain responsibility to raise the consciousness of the people. So he was saying, it is not, again, if you want to please the Lord and not the crowd, he said, the Lord but not the crowd, then you have to practice, put some sadhana into it. You have to understand the meaning of the words and fill it, he said, fill it with bhakti. Only then it can reach the feet of the Lord. Not if you are concentrating on where is the microphone, oh, the tabla fellow is not playing properly, the harmonium guy gave me the wrong shruti. All of these are our natural thoughts. So he was explaining this, and in the middle of this, he turns to me and says, Geetha Ma, Sai 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 Nare Pad. After 40 years, I have not sung that in 40 or 45 years, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I remember the words. I looked at Swami, chappu chappu. I said, Swami, I may not know the words. No, chappu chappu ne chappistan. If you forget, I will teach you, he says. Why can't he sing when he knows? Why he is asking me? This is how the Lord puts us and gives us tests. You know, if he knows the bhajan, he can sing it. Why he is asking me to sing? Because I have complained 40 years ago about this bhajan. He wants me to understand that. So I started this just like Sai, Sai. Thank God, whatever we learn in childhood, we never forget. We have just celebrated Ishwaramma Day. What we teach our children when they are young little buds, they will blossom into beautiful flowers later on. You have to wait though. It doesn't happen instantaneously. So I had learnt it as a small child. So luckily I sang through that bhajan. And then Swami said, this Geetha Ma, she always wondered, why is Swami, he's telling this whole crowd in the interview room, she always wondered why this bhajan Swami used to sing all the time. Same tune, same tala, all the stands. But it is not the bhava, raga, tala, all has to combine to bhakti. So, let's just sing, but do you know what is the meaning of this? Oh, meaning I don't know any meaning, Swami. Meaning and all that, we don't want to get into it with Swami. You must please tell us the meaning, Swami, I said. So Swami started to explain. See, in one bhajan, the essence of Swami's teachings, he was able to explain, just like far and near. He said, what is it? Sai, Sai, Sayanare, Sarvamu, Brahmamu, Mayamanare. The name of Sai, when you call out, you can call it Sai, you can call him Jesus, you can call him Buddha, you call him whatever you want. But when you call the name of Sai, Sarvamu, Brahmamu, Mayamanare, he's in the whole Brahmanda, in this whole universe. He's engulfing this whole universe. He's everywhere. Sarvamu, Brahmamu, that is the name. Then what? Baba, Baba, Babanare. Bhakti to mahimalo palgonare. So, when you say the name of Baba, don't just say it. Participate in the mahimas and the leelas. What does that mean? Does it mean we are going on saying that, of course, these are wonderful leelas. Vibhuti is coming, the flower fell down. We have so many miracles that all of us experience at various times in our lives. But what does he mean? Bhakti to, but with the devotion, mahimalo palgunare, take part with bhakti in his glory. So does it mean just sitting and doing one bhajan, or does it mean what are Swami? Look at the beautiful hospitals that he has built. Look at the beautiful water projects that he has done. Look at all the millions of sevas that every Sai center is doing all over the world. Take part in that glory of his mission. That's what it means. Bhakti to Mahima. Mahima is not only miracle. Every action that Swami has done is a miracle because we have seen the divine action. So Bhakti to Mahimalo. But how should you take part in this? Rama Rama Ramanare Rakshasa Gunamulu Pommanare. He says, as you do these actions and sevas, chant the name of Rama. How? Rakshasa, when you keep on chanting the name of Rama, the Rakshasa, Swami doesn't say bad qualities. He says Rakshasa qualities, the demonic qualities. What are these? All this attachment, jealousy, anger, all these things. When you keep on chanting the Lord's name, try to remove these qualities, these demonic qualities that are within you. Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Nare, Kashtamulanu Pogutare. Remove all the kashtas, the difficulties that we get in our life. As you chant the name of Krishna, you pray that you remove the difficulty. What difficulties? Swami asked in the interview room. Everybody said, Swami, so many problems. Somebody doesn't have jobs. Somebody is sick. We have so many problems. Once we have taken this human life, it is full of problems. So those are, Swami said, no, those are worldly difficulties. God did not give it to you. You brought it with you in a suitcase. Swami said, when you were born. And he looked at me, see, Geetha Ma travels all over the place. When she takes the suitcase with her, she packs the clothes. Whatever clothes you pack, you only have to wear it. I cannot wear your clothes. So we have brought our difficulties with us. Good as well as bad. We take nice dressy clothes also, salwar kameez. We take nice kanchivaram saris also. We take nightgown also. So whatever we take, we have to wear it. Dressy or simple. So, but those are not the kashtas, Swami said. This human body is born to reach a higher goal of realizing yourself. So whatever kashtas that come in the way that stop you from realizing that goal, those difficulties you must ask the Lord to remove from your life. The worldly difficulties will come and go, passing clouds. It will come, it will go. But the difficulties that come, that are obstacles for your spiritual progress, like these Shadripus, these 6 enemies of ours, anger and jealousy and all these things, attachments, desires, practicing. Those difficulties you must ask the Lord to remove. Kashtamulanu pogottu hare. Oh Krishna, remove my kashta, that I have all these obstacles. Then he says, when you ask for that, what happens? Shiva, 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 Shiva yanare. Shiva keshavulu samamanare. When these worldly spiritual difficulties are removed, our attachments, desires, bad qualities, when they were removed, what happens? Chant the name of Lord Shiva. Why? Shiva keshavulu samamanare. Then he asked somebody, what does that mean? They said, Swami, that means Shiva and Krishna, Shiva and Rama are all the same. Swami said, no. Shiva and Rama are same. That is not the thing. In every heart, in your heart, there may be Shiva. In his heart, there may be Jesus. In that fellow's heart, there may be Buddha. In somebody's heart, there may be Allah. Shiva Keshavalu Samamanare. All names and forms are equal. That's what that means. So when you go on asking for this type, removal of demonic qualities, removal of attachments, the obstacles in our spiritual life, then you will start seeing everybody as equals to you. And when that happens, what happens, Bangaru? Better to be quiet. When you ask such a question, we don't know, Swami, you only tell us. Hari, 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 Hari Anare, Atma Ramuni Mayamanare. When you do these kinds of things and chant the name of the Lord, Atma Ramuni Mayamanare, the whole world is just permeated by that Atma Rama. Wherever you go, you will see divinity. Just like that Bhima. He saw flowers, he saw divinity. He saw fruits, he saw divinity. Atma Rama. Everything becomes completely seeped in that sweetness of divinity. So he looked at me, patted my cheek and said, that is the meaning of Sai, Sai, Sayanare. Not a boring long song. So Atma Ramani, he is watching us everywhere. So these are some of the practices that if we go. So how, friends, Swami, because this is all too difficult for simple people like me, Swami. How can I practice all these, so many things I can't practice? Like to husband at home, children, work, friends, all these things. So Swami gave a beautiful, he said, Bangaru, if you want to practice Shravanam, he said, you have to hear first. Listen to the good things. Good mahimas of the Lord, good stories, whosoever stories, it doesn't matter. Then you think about it, Mananam. Go on thinking about it. Oh, I heard this, I heard that. You go on Mananam. When you keep thinking about it, you will then, it will internalize within you, and then you will put it into Nididhyasa, which is practice. Shravanam, Mananam and Nididhyasanam. So these three things we have to do if we want to feel the presence of the Lord. And that one moment when we do it, I'm sure every one of the listeners will say, yes, there was one time in my life I clearly felt Swami's presence or my Lord's presence. Something, each one of us will have that. We must have the open mind to recognize that. So if we do that, then only we can say that we are really the devotees. We can't even call ourselves devotees, but we are the ones who are at least come to know Him. We have come to see the divine person who came down, and we can say that, and from there we can try to do our practice. So Swami says there is no escape from practicing. Once he told me, all the time you are asking, why did I get these problems? Why I am having so many difficulties? Why is this happening to me? Why, especially I'm going 1 hour a week to bhajan, why is this happening to me? What about all the other 6 days when you didn't do anything? We forget that, no? 1 hour we keep account with God. I went 1 hour for bhajan, 1 hour for SSC, 1 hour for seva. 3 hours. What about the rest of the hours? What are you doing? So 3 hours we are keeping account. But Swami used to say, Pakka Marwadira. I am a real, please excuse me if there are any Marwadi. Swami said it in a very complimentary way. He said, I am a Pakka Marwadi. I keep very good account. That is how he was saying. Because we are good, we have to keep account. I keep very good account of what you do. That means you are a good businessman. I keep good accounts of you. So, he keeps good accounts, and then he will ask us, what did you do the other hours? So that is one thing. Shravanam, Mananam, Nididhyasanam, we have to do listening, internalizing, thinking about it. Then how can we listen? Then we have to keep the company of good people. If we go on talking to people who are saying, Ayo, why are you going to the bhajan every week? Can't you just do in the house? God is everywhere. That easy vairagyam that I told you. God is everywhere. Why should you go to bhajan? You have your own children. Teach them first. Why you want to teach other people's children? All these things people will say. So we have to be able to choose properly. How our choices in life are important. So that one. So good company. First of all, listening to all the beautiful qualities of the Lord, thinking about Him, reading the scriptures or reading Swami's discourses, hearing, and then keeping good company. And then only we can put it into practice. If we are constantly in the company of people who are creating a lot of doubts, then naturally the mind is a mad monkey. It will go. So with these kind of things, I grew up with Swami. Of course, I am far behind in the journey that he expects. It's a slow journey. But we have to keep on reminding ourselves, I think. I have been a part of the Balavikas since the inception days of Balavikas, and of course, brother Nimish Pandey was also a part of our old group of Balavikas gurus at the time of conferences. Sai Ram to both of them as well. Wonderful Sai devotee role models you have there in Mumbai, in Kamala and in Nimish ji. And also many wonderful Maharashtrian Balavikas gurus in our days of the early 80s, late 70s used to come. So in those days, I was a young Balavikas guru as well. My Swami made me a guru at the age of 14. So I started to teach Balavikas in the very, very early days when there was no proper format and everything. And slowly it started to take shape. And as I was teaching, I thought this is a wonderful experience for everybody to think about, because when we do a particular action or a particular seva in this present world, we always want immediate results. Even if I have seen my sons, as soon as we sit in the car here in the summer, they will tell my husband, it's hot, is the AC not working, it's hot. Well, the car has to start, the engine has to start, it takes a few minutes to cool down. We need at least 4 or 5 minutes for the car to cool down. But in the present day world, we want immediate results, including Sakshatkaram and Swami coming in front of us with 1 hour of bhajan or 2 hours of SSC. We want him to appear to us. Though if our intensity is that strong, he possibly will. It is not beyond him. But in any case, I started to teach SSC, and in India, in Bangalore. And one day, one young boy, small boy, he was about 5.5 years old. The lady who brought him was the maid. She was the maid in my neighbor's house. And she brought her son, who was 5.5 years old, and said, can I admit this boy into this class? When I bring here and while I am working here in the house, that lady gets very upset because this fellow gets into all the toys in the house, touches all the curios and all that. But at that time, I used to have my Balavikas. So can I bring him to your class, Amma? She asked. I said, sure, sure. He's a small fellow. What is your name? His name was Srinivasa. So I said, all right, you bring him. So he started to come. Little fellow, 5 years old. And he mainly used to come for the prasad that would be given at the end of the class. He was a little fellow. And he would sit there and he would continue to ask me, when can I eat that, Amma? And I would say, you have to sit very quietly for Varna. After the class, I will give you. And then he would look at Swami's photo and he would say, who is that? I would say, he's Bhagawan. He'll say, oh, does he walk around? Because I've seen Rama and Krishna. Who is this person? So he used to come, little fellow. And the maid used to leave him every week and go. So 1 year went by like this. This boy was an excellent fellow. And he would learn everything very fast. Very quickly he would learn. Whatever we taught, all the slokas, prayers, bhajans, loudly he would sing. And every time he will ask, Amma, is it over? Can I have prasad? He will say, Auntie, Akka, he used to call me. Akka in Kannada is sister. So can I have? You have to wait, you have to wait. So throughout the class, every 5 minutes, he will ask, is this time for prasad now? So it will go. So little fellow, very sweet chap, but he learned well. Then I used to tell him, one day he would say, who is this walking, talking God? Walking, talking God. He had named Swami as a walkie-talkie. So, a walking, talking God. When can I see him? So, I used to take my Balavikas children quite often to Vrindavan. I used to say, one of these days, I'll take you to Whitefield. Or when Swami comes, Swami used to come regularly, almost every month to my parents' house for dinner. So when he comes here, I will call you. You come and see him. And my Balavikas children were used to it. So anyway, one particular Sunday, Swami was supposed to come to our house. And I told all my SSC Balavikas children that all of you come and sit here by 6 o'clock. Swami will be coming today. You can all have darshan. And it was they were used to it. Many of them had been coming for some time. In the garage, my mother used to get the place ready and all the children would sit in the garage. And Swami would go and talk to each child, give them Pada Namaskar and all. So Swami was supposed to come. So I told this boy. Now this boy went home. That mother was actually working next door, but she was not interested in anything that was happening in the Balavikas. She just wanted him out of the way when she was working. So that day, on Wednesday, I used to conduct my classes. He went home and said, that walkie-talkie God is coming on Sunday. So I have to go to see him. So this lady, his mother said, no, you cannot go there today because I'm going to skip my work, that next door house she used to work. I'm not going to go there for work. I want to go to a new movie that has come. So I want to go to the movie. If you go there, those people will see and ask where I am and you will blab that I went to the movie. So you are not going to go because she'll get in trouble. So you can't go. He begged and cried, I believe. The mother did not listen. And then on the day of that, he was extremely unhappy because he wanted to see this God. And plus, we had also promised him very nice dinner after that was also a part of the excitement for him, nice dinner. What the mother did, she locked the hut. She was living in a small hut in a very poor area in Bangalore. She locked the house and she went off to the movie with another friend of hers. And this boy was locked inside. Now, in the SSC class for Ishwarama Day, I had given clocks to all the children so that they will come on time to the Balavikas class as a gift for all the various activities. So he had that clock. He had learned how to read the clock. So he kept on looking at the clock. Geetha auntie, Akka has said 6:30 time. Mother has gone away at 4:30, locking him in. So this happened. Anyway, when it was time around 6:30, all the children came. They sat in the car. This boy also was there. I saw him. His name was Srinivasa. So I said, oh, Srinivasa, good, you have come. You have to sit very quietly when Swami comes. I was afraid that he will call him walkie-talkie God or something, So I said, no talking unless Swami talks to you. Everybody sit. So they were all sitting and he was also there. Swami came and he came and sat in my father's living room. And then after a few minutes, he asked me, where are the Balavikas children? I said, Swami, in the garage. So these kids, we had left them all in the garage. And I was busy with my mother setting up the house. Swami said, come, let us go. And he went there and he started to give Padnamskar, Vibhuti to the children. And as he went through the whole line, he suddenly looked at me and said, where is Srinivasa? I said, he was there only in the line, Swami. Where is he? He was here, sitting here, Swami. Swami finished his round and he said, you come here, he said. And as we come out of the garage, there was a bedroom there in my father's. He said, come here. He asked me and he took me into the room and he said, where is that boy Srinivasa? He was here. I said, yes, Swami, he had come. I don't know. I was helping Amma to do these various things. I don't know where he went. I asked all the children. They said, we don't know, we don't know. And Swami was quite stern with me. He said, you are a Balavika's guru. You must be responsible for the children when you have asked the children to come. Why were you busy doing other things? He's a small fellow, 6.5 years old. When you take a responsibility, you should do that responsibility properly. I was a young girl. I was in college at that time. And you should do, where is that? I got really nervous. I said, I don't know, Swami. He was sitting here. Then Swami said, it's okay, don't worry, he'll come. He said, and he came back to my father's living room and he sat down. Then after about 20 minutes or so, while Swami was speaking, our house doorbell rang. Usually when Swami came, nobody used to ring the doorbell and all that. People used to come inside, but somehow the doorbell rang. Swami was sitting, all our relatives were sitting. So one of the relatives opened the door and there, this lady, this boy's mother and this little fellow Srinivasa have arrived at the door. It's almost 8 o'clock in the night. Then Swami got up from the chair and he came. Who is it? He said, it's a... And that lady came crying and fell at Swami's feet and this boy also. And then Swami said, don't worry, he's okay now. He's okay now. He said, he pinched that little boy's cheek and materialized some vibhuti for him and said, be a good boy, study hard, and study well, study hard, he said to this boy. And blessed that boy and came back. And then Swami started to tell us the story of what happened. We ourselves are there, we didn't know. Swami said, see, that boy came. But you know that the mother had locked the hut, I told you in the beginning of the story, and gone to the movie. This boy got so agitated that he broke the window of their hut and he arrived here and you made him sit here. But what happened, by that time Swami came around 7:15 to our house, this boy started to get scared that his mother will get angry. She would have come back from the movie. So while I was busy in the kitchen helping my mother for Swami's arrival, this boy ran back to his house. But Swami said, you know what happened? When I was coming with Padmanabh from Brindavan to your house, on the way, he said, you ask your father. He stopped the car. There were 2 ladies walking on the sidewalk, on the footpath. And he opened the window. Swami opened the window. This was the mother of the child. And Swami scolded her and said that you have locked your son and come away in the hut. Do you know that your hut has caught fire? So this lady got so scared. She had locked the child there. Swami, I had locked my son. I had locked my son. Swami said, yes, you had locked your son. I have given him the buddhi to break the window and go out to his class. So don't worry, he's okay. But next time, look after your child first before you go to a movie. Swami told her in the car and he has arrived in our house. He looked at the Balvika's children and said, where is Srinivasa? This Srinivasa has disappeared again. Then the mother and the son came. The mother has gone home. Her hut is on fire. By that time, this boy has gone home and said, Amma, I'm okay, I'm okay. I went to auntie's house and she remembered what Swami had told her on the way home. They both arrived and they both fell at Swami's feet. Swami patted that boy and said, be a good boy and study hard. So this was the story that happened in 1976, I think. Many years went by. I got married in 78. I came to USA. I had my own children. 2006, I went. So many years went by between 76 and 2006. You can do the calculation. I arrived in Patti and Swami came to me when I was sitting in the line and he told me, come to Kodaikanal. I am going to Kodaikanal. He told me and So it was 2006, my mother, only I had gone to India with my son who had graduated. So my son had returned to the US, I was staying back. So we went to Bangalore and we wanted to go to Kodaikanal. And we tried to call all the hotels in Kodaikanal for us to stay. All the rooms were taken because so many devotees had booked. They knew that Swami was going to come. So I said, what shall we do? Swami clearly said, you come to Kodaikanal day after tomorrow. I will be leaving. You come 2 days afterwards, he told me. No, Swami has commanded me to come. What shall I do? There are no places. And my mother and I said, Swami has told us to come. He will find us a place to stay. If he doesn't find us a place to stay, there is the car. We will sleep in the car. No problem. We went. Swami has told us we have to go. When he said, come, you have to go. So, my mother and I, with the driver called Pasha, we all, three of us, we went to to Kodaikanal. Arrived there in the afternoon at 2 o'clock. And the gates for the Kodaikanal building was closed and there was a crowd lining up to get into the area. And we also stood there. We don't know any Sevadal people in Kodaikanal. Who will believe us if we say Swami has come, leave me in the front? So we just went and stood in the crowd. We were standing, we have to go in. And after about 15 minutes, suddenly we saw one Sevadal running and open the gate, he was saying, and they all thought that Swami's car is going to come. So the Sevadal near the gate, they opened the gate and some youngster, the Sevadal person, he came running with the scarf and everything and he started to look everywhere. My mother and I were in the back of the crowd because we had just arrived. People were already waiting. And he was looking and he suddenly came and he seemed to just fall down right near my mother's feet. And we said, what is the Sevadal fellow is trying to say? Do Seva, but he himself is falling down. So we lifted him up. My mother replied, oh, get up, are you okay? Okay, you know, typical mother, older lady, she said, are you okay, pa? How are you? Think, poor thing, fellow. Then he looked at me, again the fellow is falling down. I said, why are you falling down like this? We're getting up. Then he said, Akka, you don't know who I am. I said, I don't know who you are, but why are you falling? But this was his way of trying to touch our feet in the middle of this crowd. We thought he's falling down. Then he said, Amma, you have forgotten me. Your mother I could see from a distance and you have changed a little bit, but you look like the same person. I'm thinking you're Akka Geetha only. Have you forgotten me? I said, I really don't know. I apologize. Who are you? He said, Amma, I'm Srinivasa, Amma. You remember, I used to come to your house. I used to call Swami walkie-talkie God. Oh, I remember you, Srinivasa, with that hut and burnt hut and all that. How can you forget such a story? The hut had caught fire, mother had burnt. Oh, how are you? He said, Amma, you won't believe it. After I grew up from your Balvikas and I went away, Swami told me to study very hard. So I studied very hard. And I tried to practice whatever Swami told me. I got a very good bank in the State Bank of India, a job I got. You know, and I was posted to Coimbatore. I worked there in the bank. And can you believe the Tamil Nadu Sevadal were recruited to look after Swami here in Kodaikanal? I was chosen to come here, Amma. They gave me the job to guard outside Swami's room. So past 2 days, I have been guarding outside Swami's room. Just now at 2:15, Swami opened the room door and called me. And he said, your guru has come. She doesn't have accommodation. Tell her there is such and such a room I have given. She can stay. He didn't know which guru. He thought he has gone through school and college and everything. Which guru? So many gurus come in our lives. That is why we have to stick to one very serious guru who will always Jagat Guru. We need not go to other gurus. So anyway, this fellow didn't know what Swami is saying. Swami said, go. So he came running and he started to look in the crowd and he recognized my mother, who had not looked very different from 1977 to 2006. I had grown up. He came and fell at our feet and said, Swami has kept a room for you. Please come, he said. And then he took us and Swami had sent all the food because we had lunch somewhere. Food was there. Everything he had told this boy, you get ready. He sent that boy to. And then he said, Amma, can you believe after those 2 sentences in your house in 1976, only today I heard his voice again. After so many years, he called me today and said, your guru has come. You go and take care of her. He has assigned me to take care of her. That boy looked after us in the 3 days that we were there. Saw me instead of his room. He sent this boy to my room. And he looked after my mother and I. And that evening when we went and sat for darshan at 5 o'clock, in Kodaikanal. Swami came in the line and said, Amy, Shishyanni chusava? Did you see your student? He asked. Swami, chudu manchiga ainadu. He has become a very good boy. So the efforts of a guru or the efforts of a mother, we do our Balavikas. It takes time to fructify and become a fruit or a flower worthy to be offered at his lotus feet. So what I did in 76, I could see the result of it in 2006. And Swami said, Chudu manchiga ainadu. He has become a very good boy. So the Lord's timing is different from ours. So in the old days, we used to bring Swami from Puttaparthi to Bangalore in my father's little standard Super 10 car. In those days, Swami didn't have a car. Swami had a small car, Morris Minor. And we used to bring him. And I remember one particular trip, we were coming from Prasanthi Nilayam. And we had to, Swami used to bring sometimes somebody else also in the car, like my grandfather, my granduncle or anybody. And my mother would be in the front seat or my brother would be there. So I was this little one, the little children are always made to sit somewhere in between somebody in small spaces. So I'd done that particular trip. Swami said, you can sit on my lap because there is not enough room. So I sat in the lap and we had left Puttaparthi in the afternoon. The evening bhajans had not started. We had left, but Swami had left. And we started to travel. We finished that Bukapatnam, Kottacheru, Penakonda. We started thing, and by that time it was 5:30. In those days, 5:30 the bhajan was in Prasanthi Nilayam. And Swami, until such time, he was talking to us in the car. And then around 5:30, slowly, he was a little bit quiet. And I was a small girl, maybe 4 years old, or sitting in his lap. And Swami, sit proper. My father would continuously stare at me in the rear view mirror because I had short hair, and if I fidget around, my hair will touch Swami's face because I'm on his lap. So my father would keep on frowning at me every time I moved, and Swami would say, Padmanabh, look at the road, not in the mirror all the time. You leave her alone, he would say, because my hair will touch. So I was sitting like a rock, so that I don't disturb Swami. And Swami said, sit down properly. It's okay. I'm all right. And it was a long journey. You had to sit on his lap. You can imagine. That is the love of the mother. And as I sat there and Swami started to become quiet, suddenly I could hear this Om, the 3 Oms. And for a few seconds, I didn't know where I'm hearing it, but because nobody was singing in the car. Swami said, just listen. Because I was a child, he said, shh, just listen. And he just leaned my head against his chest. And in his chest, I could hear the whole Prasanthi Nilayam bhajan that had started there with the Omkaram and the Ganesha bhajan and whatever 3-4 bhajans that went on till the end where Om Jai Jagadisha Hare was sung and Jai Bolo Bhagawan Shri Sathya Sai Baba Ji ki, and in those days Satchidananda Murti ki, they used to say also along with Jai Bolo Bhagawan Ji. All of that till it was over, I could hear it in his chest reverberating. And when it was over, then Swami, sitting in the car itself, raised his hand in Abhayastam. And then he said, I pointed, now it is over, he said. So that full 30 minutes or so, I had the great fortune of seeing his love for his devotees, whom he has allowed to enter into his heart. So we must be really worthy to be able to enter through our actions and our practice of his message. Sai Ram.